What's happening, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the We Are One podcast, coming to you live from the end of 2020, talking through a computer with Sir Logan Michaels. What's good, brother?
What's good, man? This is probably the only way we can connect these days. So
Yeah,
the
I've
most
honestly,
100% for sure safe way, I guess.
honestly, I have started to not mind it. Kind of like I was telling you before, like we were planning on you coming over and whatnot, and
Yeah.
then it was just kind of like, let's just do it remote. And I was like, actually, that works out better because then I don't have to clean this studio room like I would have needed to. You
Save
know,
you a little time.
I can just sit down, plug my computer in, and boom, we're pretty much set.
I've been having to get used to this whole new lifestyle just because I wasn't the type to FaceTime people and things. Like, I'd be the guy that would take forever just to take a selfie because I'm so, like, I never get the perfect one or, like, it's weird to see my own face while I'm, like, recording myself and things like that.
Yeah.
I just got to get used to being on a webcam in front of people, unless I'm only used to, like, photo shoots and things like that.
Well, a
But
lot of times with like Zoom, I find myself looking at myself. Like when I'm
yeah,
talking, I'm like looking at myself. It's
it's
almost
kind
as
of
if
like
I'm
analyzing
talking to
yourself
myself.
too.
It's like, what?
Well, that's what a podcast really is, right? I noticed that too when I started Minnerapolis Radio. I'm like, I got to get comfortable at like talking to myself or something.
Yeah.
Like that's the art of it.
Tell me a bit about Minnerapolis. I think that for one, I think it's a fucking dope idea and we're in much need of it. Like in the city, it could be like a huge platform to support like
I know. I'm super excited
so
for it.
many artists. It's sick, right? So tell me a little bit about the inspiration behind it, and I guess for people who don't know, what is Minneapolis?
Right. So, Minneapolis Radio is a new podcast I started that is highlighting local music here, hip hop and R&B from the Twin Cities. And the idea came about me when I heard about Go Radio getting bought out. So I'm like, oh, our main platform for music in the Twin Cities is now totally gone. Like this year's just destroyed a lot of platforms for people. We can't go to shows, all this kind of stuff. So I used to have a show called Minnerapolis. It was a weekly showcase, and it was like a monthly concert that I did, not weekly, monthly concert that I did at Part Wolf. And since we haven't been doing shows lately, I wanted to kind of transfer it into a different lane, at least at the moment, until things open up again. And that's what gave me the idea for Minnerapolis Radio. It kind of takes me back to my college radio days, where I'm essentially just like it sounds just like a normal radio show, but I curate like an hour's worth of playlist, and yeah, it's all locally from the Twin Cities, and you can get it on Mixcloud, Spotify, and YouTube. I think I had it on.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think it's a great idea. I mean, it's like a great adaptation into like this current era and
Mm-hmm.
just like the uh the setting of society right now. Like there's need for more platforms for content to get out on. Like you said, there aren't shows for people to go to where you would maybe be exposed to these local artists typically. So
Right.
I think it's a great idea. And um not only that, like you almost alluded to it being just like temporary, but I feel like nah, it should
No,
be a
yeah,
permanent thing. Like
I think it will
there's
be.
need for it for
Yeah,
sure.
because like once the first episode like got done, I already felt motivated just to like make the next one. I'm like,
Right.
it's keeping my ear to the ground of what's coming out of the Twin Cities, and there's been so much new music I could barely keep up with it all. So I've been like steadily adding these playlists on iTunes, every week, and it's been turning out nice. I've got some pretty good feedback from it. I just can't wait to see where it's gonna go from there.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
this has good potential to be something pretty well known around the cities, at least locally.
It's dope when something is inspiring in that way too, where
Hmm.
like it you can't wait to do it again. A lot of times,
Exactly.
like going into podcasts, this is like maybe the 50th, let's say, podcast I've ever done, and I'm going into it. I'm sometimes my attitude towards it is like, oh, cool, like another podcast,
Yeah,
like
another
just
episode.
kind of like nonchalant. But
Yep.
at the end of it, it's like, damn, that was sick. Like I need to schedule in more. I only have 3 coming up. Like and I can't run out of podcasts. Like a whole like newfound inspiration. Like once you get past that, and then you get it
Yeah,
done, and
sometimes
it's
when you
like
get
hell
used to
yeah.
something for so long, you just kind of like go through the motions with it. But maybe since it is so fresh, then I'm so excited about it. But yeah, just before we started this podcast, I was looking through my emails, gathering playlists and stuff. People have been submitting music now too, so like
Dope,
hopefully it could like be almost 100% submission based too. So it'll
dope.
ease my workload of trying to find the music and
Yeah,
downloading
yeah.
this stuff.
And it absolves you of some of the responsibility too. Like
Right.
if something is like kind of trash, like no offense to any artist, but
We said
there's
it.
definitely trash music in
Right.
existence. So if someone submits some trash shit and you play it, then you get clowned for it. You can be like, bro, like it's 100% submission show. What do you mean?
I definitely like take a listen to them too. Like just because you submit doesn't mean it's gonna be necessarily on a future episode.
Right.
But so far it's been pretty much 100% just because good shit's been coming out.
Yeah. It's I think it's sick how like people like technology is empowering people in such a cool way, I think, to produce like high quality shit from their bedroom over
I
a
know.
summer of quarantine, you know.
That's the funniest thing about mediums like podcasting and music, things you want to get into. It's like without this technology, it would be like we wouldn't even be in the ball game playing this stuff. But at the same time, it's so oversaturated because of the internet and all this technology that it's hard to stick your neck out, and
Hmm.
get your foot above the rest. So
So
it's kind of a double-edged sword.
when were you saying, did you mention that Minnerapolis was a show on Go monthly before Go
It
Radio?
was no, it was a monthly like hip hop showcase, like a live event
Oh,
at Pot
word.
Wolf, the bar up in I think it's North Minneapolis, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, it used to be like a physical show
Okay,
every
word.
month, like every second Sunday, I believe we did it, and it sucked because like right before the lockdown happened, I feel like I had one of the best lineups, and it was just gaining traction. I had like Niles was gonna perform, SJ, Ian Christ, and Tyler Berry, just a bunch of people I've been like meaning to book again for these, and then they all just came together for this perfect show, and everything goes downhill.
Got shit on. Yeah.
Sucks. I'm like, oh man, it was just gaining traction.
Dude, that's how
But
I
what are you
felt
gonna do?
about my workout routine right before the lockdown started originally. Like when the gyms closed, I was like, damn, I just finally got like 2 months solid of hitting the
Right?
gym and now I can't even
Got to
go.
reinvent the workout.
Then I bought a bike.
Hey, that works. But
It
how you gonna do it now?
it was worth
Out in
it,
the
yeah.
blizzard.
I'm gonna take it to somewhere else in the country that is warm to bike this
That's a good
winter.
idea.
Yeah, want to go on a road trip?
Yeah, we biking?
I mean, we could take my
And bring
car.
my dog?
I got some maintenance to do. Yeah, please bring your dog.
That'd be
Dogs are
dope.
definitely welcome. Dogs tend
I
to
ain't got no job
love.
right now. Let's do it.
My dog loves biking. Actually,
Really?
she runs with me. Like
Next to it. Oh,
when
cool.
I run, she kind of like lollygags and like sniffs and smells. But when I'm on a bike, she's like right
It's
next to me
all
the whole
about it.
time. Yeah,
Oh,
'cause
that's crazy.
I think I run too slow, so she gets bored. But when I'm on the bike, she's
Uh,
having to giddy up and
it's
sprint.
actually like a effort for her.
Yeah, yeah,
Competition. Got to
right.
keep up.
Oh yeah, she's trying to race. That bitch is competitive for sure. So
Finn is just a doofball.
how many episodes into Minneapolis are you right now?
Just two.
Just
We
two?
already hit the
Nice. So it's
Christmas
just
edition.
the beginning,
This is the
just the
inception,
start.
baby.
Ah,
I'm
sick.
on my third one now. I'm gathering the playlist as we speak. There's gonna be some new nerdy. Have you heard his new project yet?
38th or
Yeah.
the second?
Chicago Avenue.
I
CA.
haven't listened to the second part yet. I just listened to 38th a couple of times before I had
It's
him on the podcast
definitely
before.
more of like a uplifting than the
Okay.
last project, but I
Hmm.
mean, I love like them together. Like it definitely feels like they're like a yin and yang.
That's
They're like to
one
make it
of
whole, you have to listen to both.
right now. One of my favorite albums has been "Flow State" by Tosh Sultana.
Oh, I love Tosh Sultana, man.
So that album is dope, and it like takes you on a
Hmm.
journey like through darkness, and then these like uplifting, and then like almost like Nirvana, like bliss vibe, like toward the end.
Yeah,
And it's like you journeyed through it, right? And that's kind of what I felt like you described in Nerdy's 2-part album, is like a journey
pretty much. It
through
was,
like
yeah, a
darkness
real
to
journey through that. I
uplifting.
always, I'm a sucker for that kind of storytelling too, and I'm a fan of Flying Lotus. He had this project called You're Dead, and it literally felt like you died, you went through hell, and then like you came back and like was rebirthed into a new life right at the end. It was an interesting body of work for sure.
That's sick. So I you definitely see music in a different way than I do, because you even make music yourself too. And like
Correct.
music is like your life, it seems like, would I be
Pretty
wrong to say
much.
that? Yeah.
Been doing this since I was 16. like a little over 10 years now. It's
Damn.
crazy. Like thinking back to like how naive I was when I started being like, oh, this is gonna be, in a couple years I'm gonna be touring and doing all this crazy stuff. But like then I just started using music as far as like just something to like express myself a bit more. I wasn't so worried about being successful in it. I was just trying to fully express myself and try to improve myself as much as I can. And feel like I've come a long way when I look back, but there's still so much more to, take over as far as
Yeah.
like career goals.
I I think it's dope to have that mindset towards anything. I mean, because kind of like we were saying, journey, like it's a journey before, right?
Yeah.
Like some of our favorite projects are like those that'll bring you through something to towards something. But there isn't really an ending to it, right? Like, of course, there's an ending to an album, but I
Right.
mean, like in the sense of like your journey with music, like if you have this over a decade long passion for it, I can't imagine you'll ever drop it. So that you'll
Right.
always be evolving and elevating through that. And I think you probably evolved at that point when you realize like I can use this as like a medium of art, as like an expression of my
Mm-hmm.
experience and emotion like that. You probably evolved in what you were able to produce and the inspiration behind it at that point. I think that's important for anybody to realize with anything that they're creating, right? Like if an Instagram thought is just being thoughty, gets like 200,000 followers on Instagram, but then realizes like, oh, like that's a lot of attention. I could do something positive with this and I could actually
Right.
be my genuine, authentic self. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
and then once I do that, like I'm up to 1 million followers. People actually prefer that. Like I don't know. I just think there's something important just between like that expression piece and just art. I mean, art isn't art without expressing something through it. There's a lot of like
Mm-hmm.
hollow projects of work that are just
Right. And I
they
think
feel
people can see
disingenuous.
through that. At least like people that really listen to music can see through authenticity and like know if it's really genuine, it's coming from the soul, or if it's just like some money grab, of a song or a piece of art or something,
Mm,
something that's like, like the pop industry is so down to a science of what they think people are gonna buy and what they
right,
what they think they like,
right.
and that's like a whole. And you could tell like when you listen to that music, it's not as like personally experienced as like some dude that's like independent doing this on his own just for the love of the game.
And
There's a
then
big difference.
I think there's also an aspect to pop that is like almost like fiction novels. Like
Hmm.
the writer of that fiction novel may not have actually experienced this experience that they're writing about, but they can write a book that is profound and delivering that emotion that they're trying to
Right.
express. Like sometimes I think that comes through in pop music where like a song might blow up because it resonates in a certain way, but the artist that's producing it might not actually resonate with that story themselves, which is
No,
where
that totally makes
that's like
sense.
the disingenuous part. But like sometimes it comes through and sometimes it doesn't, I feel like.
And it's like it's hard to get mad at like ghostwriting too. I think we put too much pressure on artists. Like if you've got a beautiful voice and you're talented at like performing and stage presence and everything, but you have like a team of writers still writing your stuff, but you're killing what you're doing. I mean, you can't hate that either.
Yeah, I don't.
But
Yeah, I actually, shit. If anything, I appreciate ghostwriting because
hmm
I recognize it takes a team to develop anything great. Oftentimes, so if you like you said, if you bring one thing to the table that you are brilliant and amazing at, yeah,
hmm
get some support in the area that you're lacking. I just wish artists would be more open about it.
exactly. They
Like,
don't. It shouldn't be such a secret. You know, like I
mhm.
wish those ghostwriters, because I bet a lot of those ghostwriters were artists themselves, and they've written tremendous bodies of work, but they just didn't. They just lacked that like it factor that the singer that they're writing for has. So I wish there was just a way to like make. I mean, if I look deep in the credits of certain songs, I'm sure you could find it, but I wish we would just not make it such a secret and appreciate who is actually writing these songs of
Mhm.
the
Well,
of the pop
that goes for like engineers and producers too,
That
right?
too,
Like,
man. They're the ones really making it sound aesthetically pleasant to the ear.
well, and oftentimes, not all artists, but oftentimes the engineers and producers are spending more time in the studio
Oh my God, yeah.
than the vocalist, or right. But it depends on the person that you're talking about. Because I mean, shit, I know a lot of artists that like, especially locally, that don't really leave the studio.
Yeah, true. Yeah, there's some people even living there, but
Yeah,
but
yeah.
as an artist who does everything himself, like production and all that stuff, I've realized how painstakingly time consuming it all is, you know? So it'd be really nice as someone who does all that to just be that guy who could come in, rap, leave, you know? That
Hmm.
would be really awesome. But at the same time, my perfectionist brain wants it to sound a certain way. And I just really like the producing on that side too. It's like there's some tedious parts to it where I wish I could just send it off to my engineer or something like that, and he'll mix it up for me real quick and save me all that kind of time. But there's a part of the process I just really like being like starting something completely myself and finishing it completely myself too. Like the process is great, but it is time consuming. So I could totally get why. Like I do get a little envious of people that can just show up and just be the rapper and that's it, you know, and have this whole
Hmm.
team of producers and all these other people to help them out. That
One
is
of the
pretty
things, one of the things that I lack is like investing the time. Where like I commend anybody that has the patience to like sit with their craft for consistently
cool.
2, 3, 4 hours a day.
It
Like
makes you sick of your own stuff too, you
I
know,
can't
before
I
it's
can't
even out.
really I can't really even do that though. Even not even just music, but like anything. Because I don't make music, but I've only had a few days in my life where I spent 4 or 5 hours working on like a photo shoot or a podcast,
Hmm.
right? Like there, I've never really dedicated that much time. And it's like I wish it was easy for me just to like turn that like drive might turn into overdrive and just like nose deep into like whatever it is for all of my free time. But I can't necessarily do
It's
that
a
all
hard
the
thing to get into. Like um, right before I got this dog, actually, I spent literally 4 months every day working on that Lo-Fi Logan mixtape because I had a goal of releasing it at least by like the fall winter time, and I had that goal at the beginning of the year. Realized I was slacking for a few months because I was adjusting to everything that was going on, and then I just found that inspiration again and just made it like just erase the idea of my head that I could slack off, you know?
time.
So I would put in like 10-hour days, 11-hour days sometimes. Just I didn't have a job at the time either, so I was just all in on this whole thing, you know?
It's
And glad
that
I did it because now life is a bit more different than it was, you know, at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, being like in tune with that inspiration definitely comes in waves.
It does.
I was actually just reading like a journal from a couple of years ago recently, just a couple of days ago. A journal from a couple of years ago I was reading just a couple of days ago. It
Oh,
didn't make sense in my head even,
yeah, there you go.
but in this journal it was I think it was dated like the 26th of December. And I was like describing my mood at that time and like my energy and my motivation and my drive. And it was like identical to how I feel
Like now?
now. And I'm
Yeah, isn't
like,
it? That's what it is. It's weird. It's got to be like something higher than us. It's like controlling our energies and
yeah.
vibrations
Well,
and
I think there's a ton of factors, but I actually
right.
I took some comfort in knowing that like
You went through this
this
before.
is consistent. Yeah. This
Hmm.
isn't as like,
It's seasonal depression,
there's
man.
nothing like wrong right now.
Right.
Like I'm good. Like that, this happens probably yearly. Like I just took comfort in knowing
Hmm.
like I'm good. It's all good. Feel like shit right
That's
now,
what I
but
remind myself of too when I know when I feel that spark, I can capitalize on it, and I'll for like in a phase of like 3 4 months, I'll be really into something and like on a project or an album or whatever idea that I'm really want to work on. And then I like just take a few months off too, because I think like the recuperation period and letting yourself experience more too, because like half of my music is just about self experiences and stuff, and how can I write about personal experiences if I'm not
if
going
you're not having any,
getting those experience? If I'm just stuck making music, then I'm really not going out and experiencing anymore. So like you got to let yourself recuperate too.
I think
It's hard to go 100 miles an hour all the time, you know.
the other thing I miss when I'm not like putting in like hours consistently, only when I feel inspired to. I don't really put in
Hmm.
the hours that's not true. I would be lying on myself if I said I didn't put in hours when I don't feel inspired, because I definitely do, but not to the degree that I'd like to, I guess.
Yeah.
But lose my train of thought. Oh, so what I was thinking is the other part of that is also then like rushing things to be finished, where I like
True.
I want it, I want to get it done so bad, and I don't feel like spending a week's worth of time on this thing, so I try to do it in just 2 days, and it's like at the end of it I like it, but I don't love it, and I know if I would have given it
Yeah.
a little more time, like I had kind of set out to give it, it probably would have turned out in a version where I'd have loved it. So it's just one thing I'm
Yeah, no,
working on personally.
I totally experienced that as far as seeing my old albums in the past. Like in college, I made two albums that I ended up remastering and retrying to make the whole thing again because, like you, I was trying to rush it. And if I would have spent more time with it and actually like would have gathered my skills of production and all this other stuff that like the stuff I've learned now, it would be miles ahead of where it sounded when I look back on it, you know? Like
Yeah.
I still appreciate it for the timestamp that it has and like I feel like all the ideas for those songs were really good. But now I'm so uninspired to recreate that a third time because I rushed the second time too, you know? Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just kept rushing it, thinking that, oh, I'm gonna make it sound way better. I'm gonna make it sound way better than it used to be. Well, it might have been way better than it used to be, but it still is way worse than it is now, you know, as far as my production and stuff.
Yeah.
So if I
So
would have just held back on those songs too, I could actually feel inspired to like remake some of those. But I just want to keep moving forward too. You don't want to keep living in the past and trying to work on old
sometimes I
ideas because it's
definitely
not gonna
have
work
like I have an idea graveyard of like
for real.
ideas that just like they got a little bit of my attention, probably one of the things that I just like rushed, and I always think like I could probably revisit that, but then it's like, nah, that shit's dead, like I
I did
there's
that literally a month ago.
yeah.
Like I was looking back at my old songs. I'm like, maybe I can make like instead of doing the entire album, just like pick out the songs that I liked off of that album and this other one, and then make like a just an EP of like my favorites. But I'd have to redo the beats from scratch. I would have to re-record everything and then start mixing it and
Mhm.
everything like that. So I'm like,
And then
do I
it's
want to
like,
invest that much time into my past? You know?
right, that's kind of what I was gonna get
Hmm.
at too. It's like, but then I don't know, like, because when I revisit something too, it's like this thing that I was expressing through this piece or whatever, it's like I'm past that, right? Like
Right.
it's hard to be inspired by that experience that brought this to fruition if I'm not sitting in that same place like mentally anymore.
Totally. Like as far as writing lyrics and stuff too, like did those lyrics still resonate with me? Or was that just like the sign of the times that I was dealing with? Like
Hmm.
why would I remake something that I'm not feeling anymore, you know? Like things
Hmm.
I've gotten past over, like you said. Yeah, that totally makes sense. It's a hard thing because like who knows though, like there could be some diamond in the rough of the ideas that you had in your graveyard that actually would have been like a really good idea if you would have just chiseled at it a bit more.
What? So there's like the idea graveyard, but then I have like an idea womb also, where like these more grand, better, more exciting ideas are being built and
Hmm.
being prepared to be delivered right into our delivery room, which is the world, Earth. But uh, like those, I'm more excited about the ideas in the womb than I could possibly be about the ideas in the graveyard. Because, like I said before, that shit's dead. This shit's new, and we're humans. We like new, shiny shit. So, like,
Exactly.
new ideas are like the new iPhone, right? Like, I'd rather invest my time over here.
But there's, now that on second thought, I'm starting to think back to some songs and I'm like, I did revisit it. I know I could make it so much better though. Like just from the trial and error of 10 years of being a producer, just going from scratch. Like that was at year one. If I remade it at year 10, I feel like I could actually really execute what was on my mind at the time.
Hmm.
And I feel like almost it would be like fulfilling something from my past that I wish I could have executed more, like making up for something.
I'm actually really glad that you said that part, because now I'm thinking
Yeah.
how like the graveyard isn't really dead. They're just like lost
You
souls.
can resurrect them.
Right.
Lost
Yeah.
souls.
Yeah. Like
Exactly.
I can
They're just
tap into
wandering
I can
ideas.
tap into them still. Like
Hmm.
I can call them back. They're not totally dead. They can still
Sidetrack.
be evolved on.
Have you seen the movie Soul? Did you watch that?
No, I haven't yet.
That's that new Disney movie.
My girlfriend's out of town, She's out of the country.
Oh,
She's
wow.
back home in Macedonia right now.
Oh, cool.
But I wanted to save it to watch with her.
I won't spoil anything, but
All
I
right.
definitely cried.
Good shit. I love
relate
crying.
to the protagonist a little too hard, you know.
Too hard. I
Struggling
mean,
musician who gets his big break, and then yeah, I don't want to spoil anything anymore.
well,
But
it's an animated movie. It's okay. I
yeah.
don't know. You won't
So
spoil
like
it.
he gets his
It's not
big
like a
break,
thriller with a crazy twist, so
true,
it's
true.
all good.
But it's like this 50-year-old jazz musician who's like a teacher, like a band instructor, and he always, you know, wanted to get that big break and, you know, be rich and famous and all that. And he finally gets like that big break he was looking for. It was all lined up, and then he dies right before he could do the show. And then he's like the rest of the movie is about him kind of coming back, and then he's like realizing his life, like there's more to life than just that goal he was trying to climb at the whole time too. And that's the part that kind of got to me, because sometimes you got your head down doing the work for so long, you're really trying to make something happen, you know, but you should also be aware of like how good you have it now. And you know,
Dude, I have a feeling I'm gonna be
just the little
obsessed
things in
with that
life, you know.
message.
It's gonna be great. You're gonna love that movie.
Because
It's
I
super
feel
great.
like personally, like I've been trying to find that sort of balance, right? Like
Hmm.
a part of what I call like slacking off is really just like trying to
Enjoying life.
trying to chill and like
Hmm.
be present, but like not stress about what I have to do. Like I have so many things to do. I'm overwhelmed, blah blah.
Yeah.
It's like, nah, nigga, just chill out. Right? Like, yo,
That's
I don't
totally
know.
it, because that used to be how I would relax, is just me not doing the things I would do and be paranoid about. Ah, I like I had to like reteach myself how to relax, basically, because
I'm
I
still trying to
would put too
figure it
much
out.
pressure on myself to achieve things, you know.
Do you ever get like overwhelmed to a point where like you set out to try to relax and not focus on something, then you're doing that relaxing thing, and then you feel like I need to be doing all these things, but like
Hmm.
you're now like caught in a conundrum that's like, but I can't even relax and I can't effectively do these things that I'm telling myself I need to
Exactly.
do. So you're just like stuck in this place of like,
I did that this
like I
morning.
hate that feeling, dude.
I
Like,
did that doing yoga this morning. I was like, just focus on the yoga, and like clear your mind. But I just was thinking about, oh, I should be writing rhymes, I should be reaching out to people, blah blah, you know, networking. It's a lot of things. I'm like, you know, just you got to focus on the one thing. Otherwise, you're not even gonna. That one thing that you're trying to do to relax is just totally ruined. Otherwise, you got
mm-hmm,
to actually focus on it. You know.
yeah, yeah. Everything just points back to fucking meditating. Every time I
Seriously.
have a conversation like this, I'm like, damn it, I don't meditate enough. And when I do,
Same.
like, it's really nice and I enjoy it. Like I've had some profound experiences meditating, like psychedelic experiences that
Same.
match like experiences I've had on psychedelics, but not drug induced at all. And then, but then don't I don't set out to give myself experiences like that often enough, I guess.
It's a hard thing to kind of build a habit towards. Like I was really good at doing that in college because it was helping me, you know, get out of a depression, and it was a lot easier at the time for me to just to get into it because I was looking for that change. But then I don't know, once you fall out of habit of some things, it's very hard to get back into it. And it does require, like, it seems like you're just, you know, sitting there relaxing, but it does require focus to like tap into that extra side too, and not
Hmm.
like fall asleep on yourself or anything like that. But yeah, doing that on psychedelics is even crazier too.
Right.
Get even more
Yeah.
profound. I had this one crazy profound meditation where I was just laying down, and I like envisioned myself in my room as a kid, but I was like seeing it in third person. So I'm looking at myself as a kid who's like playing with wrestlers and whatnot, and then I walk into the room as like my older self, and I sit down with him, and I'm playing with him too, like this lonely kid in his room with all these goals and aspirations. And I'm telling him all the things that I've accomplished and all these things that I did, but all these other things that we have yet to do. And like, I remember just busting out into tears, being like, man, it's really hard to like live that inner child dream. And like, I was telling my younger self that I was sorry, but I'll always love you and I'll keep pushing forward. But there's certain things that I got to compromise with about being an adult and all this kind of stuff. It was the craziest meditation I've ever had in my
That's
life.
intense, dude. That like makes me
Yeah,
emotional hearing you
I know,
describe
man.
it. It's for real.
Oh man, yeah, it's quite the meditation.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck. Do you like mushrooms at all?
Yeah, those were
Yeah.
harder to come by for me in college, but they were a good time.
I just love, I guess, psychedelics for the just expansion of the mind. Like I've had mushrooms open my eyes to things that I cannot imagine having thought about sober, and
For real.
having a profoundly positive effect on my life after coming to this realization. Like,
I feel like with every trip there was like this inner monologue in my head that I loved. That just a little thing would symbolically get my mind going off into this whole idea about life and the universe and how these things are connected. And it really showed the connectedness with everything around me. How it's more like it actually like reestablished my belief in a higher power. Because I feel like
me
there's
too.
some grand architect out there that has, that's
Actually,
made this
sorry.
existence.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, what was I saying though?
You're saying grand architect that like
Oh
made
yeah, well,
this existence.
I was trying to remember to something else specific, but I totally lost my train of thought.
My bad.
No, it's all good. It's all
I
good.
went on my own train of thought and I was like,
Yeah.
oh.
Oh yeah, just like how like little things you do can like symbolize this whole conversation in your head, and you're thinking upon layers of thinking. Like it's always hard for me to write that stuff down. I remember writing poetry. It was a bit actually easier for me to actually get my thoughts out, just because it was more freelance and I didn't have to like be so punctual about things. But
Mm-hmm.
it's hard for me to like sit down and write those thoughts out. I kind of just have to feel them. And I feel like with every trip, I like took away some kind of little saying or something that like could help me with like a little analogy for life. I remember one time I was just like being goofy as hell. And then I got like paranoid in my head about like, oh, if somebody saw me doing this, what would they think? And I'm like, wait, why the hell would I give a fuck about what they think right now? Nobody's here. And then
Yeah.
I thought of the saying, live life with no explanation. Like, just live life as you are. Like, you don't have to explain to anybody what you're actually doing. You're just doing it because you like to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and just little things like that. I love it.
I had a buddy one time that I like helped. I guess facilitated his first experience with mushrooms, and he he afterwards he like went into the bathroom, and he was gone a while. I was like, oh, he's taking a dookie, whatever. But he came back, and I guess he was just like staring at himself in the mirror for a bit.
Not a good
And
thing to do.
that's what they say. This one was
I've done it plenty of
positive.
times, but one time it was bad.
I've only had good experiences with that. I think
I've
it
had
depends
one
on
bad.
your outlook on yourself though in that
Totally.
moment.
It's set and setting. I learned the
But
hard way. Like I've done it a handful of times. There was only one bad experience, and it was the most I've ever taken of LSD. And I was at a point in my life where I had an album coming out, and once again I set a deadline for something just because I wanted to be done at this time. But I should have sat on the project a bit more, because when I listened to it under that influence and stuff, I didn't feel it as much as like I wanted to. And I'm like, I
mm,
know it's not there. So I got really self-conscious about myself during that time. And then just all like the worst thoughts came out of me. And
mm-hmm,
then I had this, once I looked myself in the mirror, I was playing a lot of Fallout at the time where there's like synthetic humans. And I
mm-hmm.
could have sworn like I look like this synthetic person. I'm like, how do I know if I'm really real? So I was questioning my own reality for a while. I looked down at my feet. It looked like this first person video game where, you can see your legs. And I'm like, I'm totally on like the Truman Show or something right now. This doesn't
Yeah,
feel right?
legit. That I
But
mean, that's what life feels like a lot of the time. But when this homie, let me just finish the story real quick.
yeah,
When this
for sure,
homie
for sure.
popped out of the bathroom after staring in the mirror after his first like experience
Yeah.
with mushrooms, he comes down. He's like, "Hey man, I really like the lighting in your bathroom. Like I look really good in your bathroom. And I was like, no, man, I don't think it's the bathroom. I think you just like yourself a little bit more after doing mushrooms,
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
for sure. Not the
You know,
lighting.
is I don't know. I mean, the lighting is nice in my bathroom, but man, I really think you had a positive
You're just
experience.
feeling yourself a bit more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. You're just enjoying what you're looking at, as
Hmm.
opposed to maybe before when you had some insecurities that you might have just worked through. Not to say that they're absolved, because they're never like completely solved and
No,
done with, but you probably worked through them. I mean, because I've had that experience myself. And he was like,
same.
yeah, actually I think you're right. And he like took out his phone. He's like looking at himself in his phone and just like enjoying what he saw. So I don't know, psychedelics,
Set and setting
not
is
for
like the
everyone.
best advice. That's weird. It is not for everyone, but at the same time, I feel like a lot of people would be who like are vocal against it probably need it the most. You know,
Right, I
because
agree.
they probably need to loosen up. You know, but I think
But you're absolutely right. Set and
Tal
setting, man.
Sultana Tal Sultana had a story about like she took some shrooms on like a pizza and was with the wrong crowd, just like people she didn't really vibe with, and she like lost her mind. And music like pulled her back into it. She had to go to like therapy and everything like that just to get her like wits about her again.
Hmm.
So set and setting is a huge thing, and that's crazy how like music pulled her out of it essentially, and now she's this world
Amazing.
touring
And
artist.
she has this crazy mushroom vibe in so
Mm-hmm.
much of her music. Like flow state to me is mushroom music.
Absolutely,
Like
for sure.
if I plan on eating mushrooms, I'm listening to flow state. It's, you know, I should probably branch out a little bit because I kind of know what that experience is going to be like now, but that's like a go-to.
That is a
Um,
go-to.
but yeah,
Tame Impala too. If you've never listened to them,
I've listened a little bit. I've never listened to an album start to
oof,
finish.
definitely check them out. Like it's all made by one dude, but like he has a band around him just to play it live. But this I can't remember the dude's name, but his lyrics are just so profoundly like accurate to the inner monologue, at least in my brain when I'm under that influence, you know.
Mm.
It feels like he's saying things that were in my head, you know. It's
Hmm.
crazy. Like it always feels like he's referencing to like the psychedelic trips pretty much.
Crazy. But
Yeah,
hold
he's
on.
talented as hell.
Let's go on about set and setting. I think it's an important
It is
like
highly important.
warning label
Warning label, parental advisory.
on psychedelics of any kind.
Yeah, don't just like do a bunch and think it's gonna be great. You gotta really prepare yourself mentally too for it. Like I always like to like meditate the time before, like get all the stuff I needed to get done in that day out, so I have nothing else to like worry about. So I know I can just take it easy and if you do feel like you're falling off that roller coaster, you just gotta like step back and just breathe it out. Like sometimes your breathing is if you're control your breath, you're like in control your situation, you know?
Hmm.
So just focus back to breathing for
Hmm.
any people that are interested now.
Yeah,
Ready to dabble.
my biggest advice I think would be the same, and also to be intentional. Don't just
Yeah.
don't just like
Let's
eat
do
some
to do them.
don't just like eat some acid for fun. It's like,
Yeah.
to me it's not like mushrooms, acid, DMT, like they like mushrooms and acid can be fun, but I don't set out to have fun with these substances. I set out for like personal and spiritual growth, like
Yeah.
to get a newfound perspective that I haven't come across before, or refresh my outlook on my surroundings and the world around me. And like a lot of it can be uncomfortable. Like your experience
Absolutely.
looking in the mirror on LSD,
And it's
I
funny,
imagine.
before that, the thing I told the intention for me was I want to heal. That's what I kept telling myself when I was meditating on the come up. And then things were good for 3 hours and then it was what it needed to be. It was almost like yeah,
And
it was
then
a
came the
nightmare of a
healing.
night, but it was healing. Exactly. It was like the best and worst thing I ever went through.
Hmm.
It
Yeah.
like it helped a lot of things, but it also I had to break down a lot of egotistical barriers around myself and like I think I experienced ego death because it did feel like I was dying over and over again, but like in like more of a metaphorical sense.
Hmm. Yeah. Ego death is interesting. I can't remember I had a bunch of thoughts around ego death before, where like it's not like a permanent thing.
I don't think anybody could fully lose their ego forever,
Right.
because like
And
ego
well, and if
helps you
you
kind of like,
be
it's not
you,
always a bad
like,
thing. Yeah,
yeah,
it
yeah.
helps you. It's your
It's
personality.
a part of you. Like
Mm-hmm.
even the parts you don't like of you are a part of you. And if you like, they're like children. If you don't acknowledge them or show them at least a little bit of love, they're gonna go haywire and cause you problems.
It's
So
the
like,
part that like stands up for yourself too. Like
yeah.
it's the part that like gives you that edge.
And shit, I mean, like sometimes, like I've had times where I've had to like puff my chest and raise my voice, and like my ego came in handy, like in
Right.
that moment,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like
It can come in handy.
if I wasn't confident in my ability to stand up for whatever situation, then
Confidence. That's the
I
biggest
wouldn't have
part.
stood up
Yeah.
at all, right?
Exactly.
So,
It's like, man, I've been wanting to talk to you about, not to sidetrack it too much, but that moment we had on the bridge back in the what protest was that? The one
oh
where we went to,
yeah,
started at the
yeah, with the truck,
U.S. Bank Stadium with the truck. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
God, what a
There's
crazy
like
day.
there's a clip because I was live streaming that.
I saw that.
There was a clip, and
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I'm saying what's up to you right at the
Yep.
beginning of that clip.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what up, Logan? Like, blah blah. Like, it's a great day, feeling good, blah blah.
When I watched
Crazy.
it, I'm like, oh, it's me. What the hell?
Yeah,
And then who would have
nuts,
thought, like 5 minutes later, shit would just turn south, man. It was
man.
crazy. It went from like, 'cause overall, that was a positive experience. It felt like I literally just like let my guard down and like felt unified, like everything's gonna be okay, no big deal. And then all of a sudden, just complete panic and fear of the unknown was going on at the
Bro,
time.
I was like proud to be a part of that crowd at that point because
Yeah.
like my whole experience leading up to that Sunday, like that week prior, that was so intense with the rioting and shit, was like trying to bring about some peace and some unity and some like just some really just some love, like just trying to bring love into the air and like
Mm-hmm.
love
Really needed
and
it at the time.
unity and peace. Like those are the adjectives that stand out. But in that moment, I was like, this is like, it felt like, like this is what I had been looking for, right? Like
Right.
this is what
For
I was
real.
hoping to be a part of. This is what I was trying to like bring about in some of the
Mm-hmm.
other situations that I found myself in. So it felt amazing. Then all of a sudden, the
Fucking
next
tanker
few
truck rolls
minutes,
in.
yeah,
Dude, crazy. Like, and then we heard the gambit of everything. I heard like the truck spilt over, it's leaking gas. I heard the dude came out and was like, had a gun. Like, I heard you name it, and it wasn't until like I saw your live stream what really happened. At the same time, we don't know. Did we ever figure that out? Like,
no,
they
I'm
released the dude in like a week,
so
right?
no. Ultimately,
Was it
he
just a big
he
mistake?
got he got he got a criminal charge for like negligence,
Endangering or
endangerment,
yeah.
endangerment or reckless driving, and um whatever. I don't remember exactly, but
Yeah.
I think essentially the charge was that he had ample amount of time to stop before getting to where the crowd was, and
Yeah.
he didn't. He thought he was going to be able to drive through it. I think that's what he was charged with, but ultimately it wasn't like an act of terror, right?
No.
I
Yeah.
remember, but I remember at the time, like I like
I don't know
I
what to
I,
believe
di-
at the time.
I didn't believe that that was the case at all at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and excuse me, just like intuitively. But I remember thinking like, shit, well, that might have not been his intention, like for that to happen, but like who knows his employer's intention or whatever. Like he could just be
Right.
like a pawn in a larger scheme where they were like, yep, somehow they knew this
Send him over
protest was
there.
going to be on this bridge at this
Yeah.
time, and we have this tanker truck we can send on that route, and like, but that seems unlikely too, though, because that just would be a lot of planning.
Exactly. I'm still just as confused as the day it happened. Like I remember just like going home that day. I actually was at my friend's house because the people I went with my old roommates to the protest, and there's like a lockdown in like an hour or two, so I just stayed at their spot, and I just remember like we were just jogging our brain for like an explanation, and we heard hearing like, oh, it could have been a great mistake. Oh, could have been something deeper and more intentional. But I'm just glad you were one of the people that actually like step up and like save that dude's life, because we don't really know what his intentions were,
Yeah.
and if he would have got his ass beat to
This
where
was
he,
my point for stepping up. Like, for
yeah,
one, none of us knew what his intentions were. And we're out here
exactly.
protesting the police trying to be like judge, jury, and executioner on the
Mm-hmm.
street and
We
jumping to
can't do it.
conclusions. We
Can't be the
we
same.
we can't do the same thing. Like,
Exactly.
we have to be an example of how we want to see justice served. Otherwise, like, we're just really waging war, and I don't know if that's what I support at this point in time in this movement,
Totally.
right? So not
Yeah.
so like I just was like, yo, we need to allow him to be arrested and go through the proper procedure that we
Mm-hmm.
are really like fighting for, which is like not the current state of our system, but like a
Right.
just justice system, right?
Exactly. We actually could figure it out that way. But did was he ever like questioned or anything on his intentions? Like, do you know anything further about
Oh, I
him?
just yeah, his name was Bogdan. He worked, I think, independently as a gas deliverer, essentially, and
Yeah.
he was supposedly doing a favor for this gas station. It was like Lynn Lake, that was off of 36th Avenue, I think. Their owner Lonnie hits me up regularly. Kind of, he's like showing me appreciation for helping Bogdan in that moment.
Yeah.
So he checks in every now and then. But I mean, as far as I know, he was really just, he happened to be there. Like,
Mm-hmm.
he was trying to do his job, and he was ignoring the road blockages and stuff like that, thinking he could make it through. Couldn't. Dumb idea. Should have just stopped at the
Yeah,
rest of the
dude, that
traffic. But
could have paid an ultimate mistake. Could have hit somebody, and yeah, it was a dumb idea.
right, right. So, but okay, so Go Radio is going out of business. You used to work
Yeah,
for Go.
I did. Interned for about a year.
What
I
was
was
your like position at the time?
so it
You're
was
an
just like
intern, but like
they
what were you
called it
doing?
street team, intern.
Hmm.
Do a little bit of every like shadowing the DJs. I got to meet DJ Bonix. That was really cool. Super cool guy. But my job primarily was to run the sound for Shut Up and Rap, and then also like go to these events and just pretty much set up a little merch table, put on a shirt, and like interact with the crowd, kind of be the face for the company for them in these events that they'd sponsor.
Hmm.
So I got to like, it really helped my people skills and like getting over that fear of like trying to talk to strangers, I guess.
And probably networking too, going to like
Networking was
Shut
huge.
Up and
Yeah.
Rap and whatnot.
Like I didn't have to introduce myself over and over again when they knew, oh, that's the guy with who works here now. Like, cause
Right.
I used to just go to Shut Up and Rap a lot, and I found I was struggling a little bit to like meet some people. Like I did a lot better than I thought it was gonna go, because I came from a super small town and like still had to kind of come out of my shell a bit more. College really helped with that, but and then just being closer to that show and like being able to like know that I'm gonna be there every week with that shirt on, and everybody's like started to actually like remember me, and it's a lot easier to spark up a conversation with the guy who like works there for the event.
Mhm. And like a familiar face, and
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
definitely. What was your like impression with Go then? Did you have a good experience working with them while they were in town?
Overall, it was good. I didn't really like the manager too much I was working for. He just like he'd be the type to tell you, make this internship what you want out of this, like do as much as you can. So then I'd like go out of my way to like reach out to him to ask him about certain things I wanted to do. Like I wanted to maybe look into writing for articles for the website or shadowing more DJs and stuff. And he would just never get around to setting it up. So then we
Mm.
just kind of got relegated to the, the the events that we were signed up to do. It definitely had its perks. Like I'm so grateful for just the experience in general. Like I got to meet people that I might have else not have like ever met. I
Right,
met so many
right.
people through that internship. That was like the biggest takeaway, I guess, from it. But as far as like I realized the radio industry doesn't have a lot of growth.
You know what does?
What's that?
The podcast
Damn
industry,
right.
you know?
Damn right, baby.
So Minnerapolis Radio.
Exactly. Be my own DJ. They're not gonna let me shadow these guys.
Right, right. You take it into your own hands.
hmm
I do hear some people around Minneapolis saying like they're kind of glad to see Go Radio go, because there's some people who feel that Go was like, as much as they like did publicly for like community, they didn't do enough with the platform that they had. Do you feel that same way at all, or would you?
Honestly, I feel it's a fair argument. I guess I'm just biased towards like the friends that I met there, like Chaz and Jordan and Bonix and all these people like that I know are like they actually do the work and do like help out the actual like community here locally. But like they were just like in the big scheme of that radio station, it was still just a top 40 radio station. So it was just playing pop music, the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
It was Chaz's show on Sunday nights that actually like you got to hear the local talent and whatnot.
The
I
dope
feel like
shit.
if you made enough of a name for yourself, then they could help you out exponentially. And they did do a lot of good work. Like Nerdy, for example, they gave him like his first rap performance was on that Shut Up and Rap stage. And Augie 5000, who is a genuinely good person for this community, he did a lot personally, just like doing that out of basically the good of his heart, the Shut Up and Rap. Like it was just an idea he had. He wasn't getting paid extra to do it or anything like that. He's taking time out his day to let these people to like open up a whole platform for these people to get out. And without that, I wouldn't have met so many people. So I think
Mm-hmm.
like behind the scenes, they were doing a lot. But as far as the radio station as a whole, yeah, they were just kind of playing top 40 music, and they were more focused on sponsoring the big money acts and trying
It, it,
to uproot local stuff. But
it almost kind of sounds like, because I think some people are arguing like that they're glad to see go because they feel like they were just taking like resources that the city could actually use. What up, Doc? That the city could actually like use in one way or another. Like they just came in, made a shit ton of money. Now things get rough and they're out.
yeah,
I don't know if I
maybe
feel
that's the
that way
radio
personally.
industry. I
I'm
don't
just
know.
curious. I mean,
No,
that
I get
absolutely could
that
be,
too. I
because it
think
sounds
there's,
like with your response to my first question that it's like
yeah,
was more the people that they employed that were pushing the stuff that supported
sorry,
all
dog.
you. No, you're good. All you like local artists and whatnot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I just remember like being a fly on the wall there and like hearing what some of these DJs and these ideas that how how they wanted to take the radio station, and they were just kind of getting like obstacles kind of being put in their way because
They're
like
getting shafted.
yeah, they want to do this, they want to do that, but then they're just like, we're just going to stick to the script. The guy who's in charge of all them is still just wanting to do what his investors are telling him to do, which
I
is to
guess
play
that
the
that
safe
could just be the
pop
business
music.
model, right? Like
It was a bit
that's
exactly.
just the
They didn't
business
want to
model. They weren't like pushing
do anything outside
boundaries,
the
and
yeah.
they had a boardroom that.
So I think the people working there, at least like the hosts and the faces of the company, were definitely like doing as much as they could for as much as they could get away with.
Yeah. So, but we know what you're up to now, I guess. Do you know like what are some of the hosts and some of the big names from Go Radio gonna do? Do you have any
I
idea?
don't know. I think it's too fresh of like just happened like a couple of weeks ago. So I'm not sure. I'm sure Chaz could do like iHeartRadio or something too. He's got like the perfect radio television voice, and he's a dude that's very dedicated. I'm not sure where like Peter Parker will end up or anything like that. But like I know Bonix and Parker, they have houses now, in
Hmm.
Minneapolis. So I don't know if they would pack up and move for their next gig somewhere. I'm not sure because I know Peter Parker's from Boston originally. Bonix is from Pittsburgh. I don't know if they would like go back because they put so much time and effort into
What
living
if
here.
the community just raised enough money to buy that airwave?
That'd be cool. I heard a Christian music station bought them out or something. Or how do
Oh,
they have the money to buy them out?
well, because they got all that PPP money
I
from
I
the
guess.
government, bro. I swear to God,
Yeah, dude.
churches looted the fuck out of
Did
those
they?
programs. Yeah, for
Man.
sure. For
Well,
sure.
hallelujah, right?
I guess. I mean, the churches are establishments that need to stay alive too, but
True,
if they're going to
but
take tax money, they shouldn't get like tax-free status.
yeah, I don't know. I think weighing all the wins and losses for that company, I think it still is just hurts that it's gone, just because now like even the little stuff that they did is totally gone now. You know, like we won't have Shut Up and Rap again. We won't have like just a face for hip hop. You know, like yeah, they might have been top 40 at the end of the day. You know what they were doing, but they were still like a source for hip hop and R&B here. It's
Hmm.
better than absolutely nothing. You know,
But
so
then
many radio
there
stations coming up
there
in the cities here.
therein lies the need for like what you're doing with
Right.
Minneapolis Radio, right? Like that, because these are the platforms that are growing and more people are tuning into. And like I get in my car and I get annoyed if the like FM radio is on. I switch it straight to my
Oh yeah.
phone or to Sirius. I don't
Nobody
really,
even listens to radio anymore. You know.
unless I'm listening to NPR, then like I might tune in. I think it's like 91.1 or whatever. Like
Yeah.
that's like the only radio station I'll play. Otherwise, I'm trying to pick and choose when I'm listening to, right?
And it's hard for like, especially local music. It's nice to have a playlist of music being shown to you because it's hard to like dig into what everybody's doing. But
Hmm.
if you could have that one platform that will gather that playlist for you, like what I'm doing, then it's pretty cool. Like I even find myself just putting it on just so I can listen to those songs again and not have to like individually go out and search for all of them again.
Hmm. Yeah. I think it's dope, man. I really want to
Yeah, I'm
help
super
you
excited.
bring some attention to it. I haven't listened to the first two episodes yet myself, but I definitely intend to. Shit,
My
I
critique with myself is just I gotta get better at like getting comfortable talking to myself again. So in
mm,
college, I did a KMSU, the college radio. So every Tuesday and Thursday, I would be doing my own. I think I did rock on Tuesday or R&B on Tuesday, and then Thursday I did rock. They wouldn't let me do hip hop
mm,
because they didn't want like a curse word to slip out here and there.
fuckers.
Yeah, right, little bastards. But that was fun. Like I actually got to be like in the studio, and I was like creating the playlist as I was doing it. So it was kind of risky. It was like freestyling the whole thing. Like
Yeah.
I remember just two songs, and then while those two songs were playing, I'd be thinking of another song and thinking of another song, letting it build.
That's
But
tough to do, dude.
oh, dude,
Damn.
it was tough. But I got really comfortable with it because they threw me with the wolves, dude. The first couple episodes, I, they called it radio a la carte. So like
Mm,
essentially, all I had to do was sign up, and then they gave me this hour to curate this session, but they want to do this a la carte idea where it was like essentially this like to go radio station equipment with like a mic and a computer. And they put me like, the CSU by like the coffee shop in Mankato, that
okay.
area
Yep.
with the Taco Bell and like all where everybody's like gathering to eat and
Yep.
stuff. They wanted me to like set up in the middle of all that and then do my radio show out in front of people like that. So it was just really weird. And then we had so many
Who do they
technical
think you are?
difficulties.
Like Mark Rubilo or whatever
I
his
don't
name
know.
is?
I felt like I was annoying people. So like I turned my speakers, because they had speakers and stuff so you could hear what I was playing, but I turned it way down, and like I just felt awkward because people were just like staring at me like, what is he doing, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the second day was the worst. I remember about to play this Jimi Hendrix song. I hit play, nothing happens. I'm using all their equipment or whatever. Get a call from the music director, and he's like, "Hey man, we have dead air. We can't have dead air. What's going on?" I'm like, "I don't know. I'm just trying to play the song and it's not working." So for 15 minutes while he was walking from his building all the way to the CSU to give me this cord so I could plug in my laptop, I just had a fill time.
Oh my
I never thought I
gosh.
could do that. It probably sounded horrible. Hopefully nobody was listening,
That
but
I
I was just
personally,
pulled up the
I think that'd be
homepage.
kind of fun. Like that would be like the like like you it's like your make or break moment.
Yeah.
Like
I was so flustered that I'm like, what the hell do I talk about? I wasn't used to, just the podcast format or like speaking on a microphone like that yet.
mhm.
Like this was back when I was just starting to perform as like a musician too. So I was just still gathering my nerve for all that, but my nerves went out the window after that day. And I'm like, nothing worse can happen to me now,
Yeah,
I had to
yeah.
talk about like the Vikings, and I was just rambling about school events and stupid shit, like
But
anything to fill the time.
you need that. That's
Hmm.
important. That experience was important in
Yeah,
order
man.
to be able to throw the nerves out the
Now
window.
I can riff a bit better, but I had to fail miserably at it first, just like all things, right?
Right. Right. It's yeah. That we talked about this earlier too, but it's the evolution is fun. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to like have new microphones and a new like recorder and like new equipment to elevate the quality of the content I'm trying to produce and whatnot. Like it's fun. Just that.
Those things can really motivate you too. Like I just got this new home studio like foam thing to put over my mic. It's called like a Chaotica eyeball.
Okay.
It's a little expensive piece of foam, but it's supposed to like really help. Like people put like their foam patches on the walls and stuff. This kind of eliminates the need for all that kind of shit.
Okay.
And I've just been so excited since I've been using it. I've just been extra motivated just for this little piece of foam I bought, can
Yeah.
really like get your motivation to do that thing again.
Definitely. Hell yeah. So what's next for you then besides, I mean, Minnerapolis? I know that's not a
Yep.
simple, easy project, but I'm sure you got maybe a little more in the works than that. Do you have a next project in mind or anything like that?
So I've been kind of in producer mode lately. So I recently downloaded this thing called Lo-Fi Lockdown. There's a bunch of samples for like
Okay.
$40 or something. I bought it off. It was on sale. And I've been experimenting with that because the last mixtape was all lo-fi stuff, but I didn't produce any of it. It was just like lo-fi beats I was really into like for the past year that I limited to like a playlist of songs that I felt inspired to write to.
Mm-hmm.
And it was more focused on writing, but like being going into lo-fi as a genre, I feel like it's kind of perfect for the way I produce. Like very simple but brilliant. Kind of like simplicity is the key to brilliance is like one of my sayings I like to say. But I felt like that was a good genre for me to kind of increase my production skills instead of doing too much. So I've been experimenting with that basically, and I've got quite a few lo-fi beats in the hopper. I don't know if I want to make a whole new project worth of that again or like focus on new singles. So I'm trying just to kind of get more content out there. So maybe working on singles might be my short-term goal right now, just to
Mm-hmm.
keep people interested, make sure they don't
Are you
forget
gonna
about me.
are you gonna like have some shameless plugs in the radio show too? Like,
Oh, absolutely.
okay,
I
hell
already
yeah.
have been.
I was gonna say I fucking hope so. Like,
Oh,
geez.
absolutely. You got a shameless plug yourself. And it's easy
Absolutely.
stuff to talk about in transition. But yeah, definitely. I just want to work with other people around here too. Like, kind of kick off some of my like bucket list things where I want to have songs with certain artists around the TC, that I haven't yet to reach out to. So I want to start focusing on like collabing with people. I used to
Mm-hmm.
be so like I guess selfish isn't the right word, but like when I make a song, I want to be able to like I envision myself like we're performing it in front of people. And if you have a feature, it's like that's a whole chunk of the song you won't be able to perform.
Mm-hmm.
So you either got to like cut it short and it's kind of like a short song. But so I was like, I usually just end up writing my whole thing, all my lyrics and don't end up scribing the feature idea,
Mm-hmm.
because I like envision myself performing the whole thing. But now it's like, I don't even know when we're going to have an
The
actual like live
ability to
performance
do that
again.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, I might as well just like collaborate with people, and it's a good way to network. It's a good way to like have that, like I just want to have that song with my friends that I worked on, like
Mm-hmm.
it's a cool like it's just a really cool thing to do when you collaborate with people.
Has there been any artists like rappers that did like a Zoom cipher?
Dude, that'd be cool. I
Uh,
don't think so.
I think that could be
We should
kind of,
try.
if it like it would have to be done well, but
Yeah,
it could be done. I
that'd be
think
kind of dope.
that'd be kind of fun.
Maybe get like Carnage to beatbox and then everybody else like rap over his beatboxing.
That'd be sick.
Yeah.
And then you could just like sample it and loop it or some shit and throw some like
Oh, hell yeah.
throw some sounds on it, throw some lo-fi on it.
Yeah, I've been so into lo-fi lately. But at the same time, I've had these ideas of like wanting to do like these hip hop rock albums because I'm a huge metalhead too. Like
Mm-hmm.
Metallica is my favorite band, and Pink Floyd, and I mean that's not metal, but like like psych rock metal is kind of all my like 80s metal.
Okay.
So I kind of want to like infuse that rock side of me, like where I'm playing guitar and stuff again, with hip hop. But I just know that stuff is gonna take way longer just to get my skills as a musician up. as well as being a producer, that like maybe lo-fi is more in my wheelhouse right now because of the simplicity to it all.
Mm.
And I don't know, I just love the vibes that
I love
lo-fi can give
I
you.
love the vibes too. I
Yeah.
feel it
The
absolutely.
aesthetic too. Like I made all those artworks for I made individual like song artwork for every song that was on Lo-Fi Logan. So like when you're on YouTube, it's a different image that kind of like it's more prone to like the story that I'm telling. And it was
Mm.
really fun, just like giving it the lo-fi glitchy aesthetic and like making like these short little video clips to it all. It was, I don't know, there's something about lo-fi that I just so attracted to.
I feel that, and it can be used for like everything too. Like it
Hmm.
could, yeah. Lo-fi's a
It's good
vibe.
for just
That's
chilling. It's good for like driving. It's good for just playing video games too.
there's
Good for
some
having
lo-fi I've
smoke
listened
weed too.
to where I'm like, I wish this was just like the soundtrack to my life. Like I wish this was just like playing in the
In the
background
background,
at
yeah.
all times, you know? Like
For
that
real.
would be fire.
And that's another thing with lo-fi too. Like when I'm making these beats, I'm still seeing myself, writing on them and whatnot. But like, I know like true lo-fi is usually instrumental. And like I don't
Mm.
know if I want to do that or like I just feel like my favorite lo-fi would have lyrics on it too. Like I don't know, I still want to give up the rapper in me too. I don't want to be this a full-on producer. Kind of want to do it all, be the jack of all trades on all my music.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's dope. I share a similar aspiration as to like part of it is being so particular about what I want like the final product to be, where like I'm like, I'll just learn how to do it so I don't have to
Yeah.
ask someone else for help, which is kind
Yep.
of whack too, but like because now I'm seeing how much I want to have a team around some ideas also.
Absolutely.
But uh that's like I'll teach myself things that like it being a jack of all trades is just what made me think of this. It's like I'll teach myself things because it's just like adding to my toolbox, you know, like
Right.
to the things I'm capable at that will like help me produce more, bigger, and like better in the future. I'm just like crafting a little tool and then putting it in my toolkit type shit.
But I also get like it's probably not the best advice to like preach that kind of stuff too, because I think some people do need to go reach out and help if you have the resources for it. Like you can actually get like a pro to do this who's gonna do it way better than what you could have ever at least fathomed it to sound, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever goal you have in mind. It's always good to still reach out to someone who you believe is good at it,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can do nothing but learn from them too. So like at the same time of like, yes, I think learning the skill yourself is super vital. And I don't even take my own advice because I'm like you. I just want to do everything myself to skip that extra hurdle of like trying to reach out to somebody. Like as much as like I like to collaborate with people, sometimes I don't fully trust that process because you have to rely on somebody else to
Mm-hmm.
make sure it's finished. And to me, I'm like I can I just want to do it all to make sure it's done. But I do I sometimes I kick myself for not reaching out to the right person or like just having somebody listen to the song before it was released, and it could have sounded maybe way better because he would have had like a little tip or trick for
It's a
you
little
that
thing that you didn't
yeah,
hear, right?
little thing you didn't hear or didn't even think about that you're like, oh wow, this totally changes things.
So yeah, sometimes a project needs like fresh ears or fresh
Oh
eyes,
yeah.
for sure.
Oh, producing, I've learned that like I could be working on something for like an hour. Be like, all right, I think I know how it sounds. I go take a smoke break, come back, and I'm like, this sounded nothing like it did 5 minutes ago. Like your ear can trick yourself of how things sound, and
Mm.
then you wake up the next day and you play it, and you're like, it doesn't sound any better. Like I actually made it sound worse. You
Yeah,
know, I was
yeah.
bumping into this shit
Oh,
last
I've
night.
done
What the
that to
heck?
pictures. I've learned
Yeah,
to like save versions of like
the
Photoshop
or at
projects
least
because
the
like
original.
there
Yeah.
might I might get to a point where there's no return, like
Mm-hmm.
you know. But well, shit, man, I enjoyed talking to you a lot. This has been fun.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on the show.
I'm excited for Minnerapolis Radio, and I'm gonna start tuning in myself. I'm gonna try and help you share it a little bit too. So whenever
Absolutely.
send me links and whatnot, I'll maybe
Sure.
give you some
Should I plug
feedback
the
or some
show? Should I be a
submissions.
shameless plugger right now?
Oh, no, like no shame whatsoever. That was my next
Perfect.
thing. So like, where the fuck can people find you and the new show?
So follow me at the letter I, letter M, Logan Michaels on all social media. You can find Minneapolis Radio on Spotify under Unpopular Music Network. Otherwise, it's on Mixcloud and YouTube. I also have socials for that. It's at Minneapolis Radio on Facebook, Instagram, and then at Rapolis Radio on Twitter. If you want to submit a song, email me at minnerapolisradio@gmail.com, and I can get that song on future episodes.
So also Logan's gonna send me links to everything that he just said, and I'll put it in the show notes. No, it's good. No, say it. Yeah, right. Say it. But I'll also add it to the show notes to make it one-click accessible, easy peasy,
convenient,
lemon squeezy.
Damn right.
All right, bro. Well, gang, should I hope to see you soon
hopefully, man,
when there's shows again. And fuck, maybe I need to like get in with you and help plan like some virtual type show or like a Zoom cipher, like we were saying. Like,
let's brainstorm.
I think people are fucking bored, and like some shut up and rap type shit would be fun to experience again. But it's hard to do when we can't get together. But there's got to be a way.
Like, the biggest thing I envisioned to get me through this whole year was like, I just can't wait to go back and just hug everybody again, man. Go to these shows and see these people that I used to see like at least on a weekly, or a monthly, if not weekly basis, that I like have lost almost all contact with. But we know it's still all love if we get to see each other again. So I don't know. I had that thought this morning. I'm like, I just can't wait for the day where everything's at least seemingly normal again, and we can just like see everybody again and just hug it out.
Yeah.
I just miss people a lot.
Dude, it'd be sick if there was like a platform where like because I'm playing this like prediction thing, like for football. It's just like some free app, but you can like win prizes or whatever. Kind of a gambling addiction, just moderately. But this shit's kind of fun because it's free. But it'd be sick if there was like a show where you could like pay people to tune in to like and interact with like performances like that. Like, yo, like cool. get $10 for joining this invite, and then like have a chance to win prizes by interacting in one way or another, and then like get sponsorship to come in and put their name on a couple things and then fund some prizes. Like, that'd be sick.
That's a good idea.
It is. Like, so someone steal that.
Engagement.
Someone steal it. Steal it.
It's out in the podcast airwaves now. So.
And I'm serious. Please steal that idea, because I probably won't do it, but it's a good idea. But all right, bro. Well, I'm just gonna end the recording, so stay right here. Peace out, everybody. Thanks for tuning into the show. How long was this?
I don't know. Does it tell you?
I can't see on the recording.
What time is it? 7:47. So like hour and a half.
Okay. Good time. I don't understand how fucking some of the podcasts I listen to, like Rogan or Lex Friedman,
it's like
or
4 hours.
Yeah, or like even Sam Harris. Like, how do they go for like 3-4 hours?
I don't know. I don't think it's smart either. I mean, Joe can do what he wants because he's already like the most successful. But I think a good podcast can be done in an hour and a half. Anything past that is just kind of dragging on, to be honest. Like, it doesn't matter how good the podcast is. It's hard to grab somebody's ear for 2 hours.
Sometimes I still finish it, even if it loses me. Like,
yeah,
I'll go all the way. I'll finish it all the way through. I might only listen to 20 minutes at a time, but
it would take the whole day to listen to.
The reason I have podcasts is largely because I love podcasts. Like, that's mostly what I listen to are podcasts. I don't really listen to much music anymore. Like, I even work out to podcasts. I'm like, damn, bro, you're fucking lame. But get some beats in you. But
tip last year. Now I'm kind of switching since I got this whole Minneapolis Radio. I'm like, I better actually.
You have to listen to all the music.
Yeah, for sure. Got to start, being a supporter for sure. Like, to the 100%.
All right, well, hey, get a thumbnail real quick for the YouTube gang. All right. Sick. I'm sure we got one. All right. Peace out, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Like and subscribe, share, say what's up, give me feedback, rate,
I dare you.
Comment, call me, text me, but I probably won't reply because I'm really bad at text. That's that winter depression. All right. Stopping that recording. Peace out.